Welcome back to Sustained Overruled. I am the anonymous attorney. All right, so we've been, dealing with a lot of gossip over the past week. That's all we've been doing, gossiping. And I thought that was going to stop, but apparently not. Okay, so we had, there was court today. But before we get into today's court, I'm going to start off with something because all this Kayla Bumpus gossip, all this infamous Sylvia gossip has messed up my algorithm. Okay, Sylvia has messed up my algorithm. So because I had to watch this mess, I guess everybody else is going to have to watch it too. So here we go. This is this is what we're starting off before we actually jump into today's court proceedings. Here we go. That's Miss Sylvia and her niece, honey. All right, Sylvia. Go, Miss Sylvia. All right. All right, so we're going to stop right there. I just had to start off with that mess. Okay, so court was in session today. I have made notes. I did not expect this trial to end the way that it did, or at least I did not expect this trial to end with a witness that it did. But if it's one thing we know about this YSL trial, you just do not know what to expect. All right. So I have my notes out here, but let me go ahead and share my screen. Remove Miss Sylvia. So we're going to stop sharing that, and then let's get on to the actual trial. There we go. All right. I want the actual trial. I don't want this. I want the actual trial. All right. So let's see. Going back to the very beginning. Okay. Let me just get my notes here. Obviously, we don't have 8 hours, 41 minutes, 29 seconds. So there are two specific witnesses that I would like to focus on. Let me just get to the notes from today, and then we're going to get started with those witnesses. For now, I'll just let this video play.
Those things, because we're going to need that before we get to that evidence. I noticed that Mr. Arnold's not on this week's witness list. Do y'all not intend to call him? Okay. Hey, what you need?
All right, let me confirm the date. I never know the date, actually. So today's November 12th. I just had to make sure that I have the right note. So we're going to skip through most of this, okay? Let's see. I wish I could fast forward in like 10-second increments. But let's fast forward.
Showcasing.
All right, so if I'm not mistaken, this was the first witness for the day. Let me just double check that this is in fact Hollis Brown, because if it is, then I'll have my timestamps in order. Because if this is the jury that's coming in, this was around 9:51 Eastern time.
Thank you. All right.
I prefer to keep the chat on because I want to know what people are talking
You'll
about.
have your next witness on the stand. Sergeant Ingram, would you swear that witness for us?
What's the name? Is this Hollis Brown?
To get sworn, please.
What's your name, man?
Hollis Brown.
Okay.
HOL.
So this is Hollis Brown. We're not going to go into her testimony. Overall, she works for APD crime scene unit. She's done that job for about 5 years. Of interest from her testimony, they focused on the March 14th, no, the March 11th homicide, as well as I believe a March, I don't know, I should have written better notes, but they focused on 2 homicides. Um, and then they gave her, because I was writing notes just as I had this trial playing in the background, because I did not actually know what I was going to talk about in this video, because as I said, with this trial, you just do not know who's going to pop up. But they had a surprise witness at the very end, so we're going to focus on her. But before we get to her, there's an officer, a specific officer's testimony that I'd like to get into. But Hollis really, there was not much shaking. Defense could not really shake her up much because she is not a major contributor. Let me see. But as Hilton was during the state's case in chief, Hilton did a lot of leading, which, as I was listening, I probably would have objected to a lot of her questions because she was leading, she was speculating. And then, if I'm not mistaken, this witness was reading from his statement as well. Whereas, in order to refresh memory, she's supposed to take a look at it. They're supposed to take it away, and then she should testify from memory. So those are things that I would have objected to. And then let's see. Right, because my notes here said that Hilton basically led the entire way, or through the entire direct. And then they talk about a little bit about the shell casing, and that's what Shardt kind of, if I remember correctly, that's what he focused his cross-examination on. And then after this, let's see. There's a Christian Miller that's going to testify. And I'm just giving an overview before we get to the actual witness that I'd like to talk about. All right, so this is Brown testifying. That's the cross. Here's the cross by Shardt.
From the pictures, there's a house on Waters Road with a wooden fence.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
All right.
Embrace the journey, where each moment turns into a cherished memory.
All right, so I believe this is Christian McMiller.
I don't think so. I don't think he's testifying.
Oh, and another note that I made from Hollis Brown's testimony is that at least she knows how to handle evidence because she wore gloves. I've not seen any of these prosecutors wear gloves. They were basically touching firearms with their bare hands.
I did.
And somebody on this end said free the juror.
My name is Kevin Leon Packer. It's
Did I miss
Kevin.
this one? I don't know. I had some meetings today, so did I miss McMiller? Hold on. No, I did not miss.
My last name is LeonPacher.
Good morning, Detective Leon Packer. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Good morning.
Can you tell the jury where you're currently working at?
Well, working and employed. I'm a detective with the Atlanta Police Department.
All right.
I've been with APD for over
This was
22
an hour
years.
in.
And after spending the last about 14 and a half years in the homicide unit, I have also joined the FBI as a task force officer. And my current assignment is, as of about 3 weeks ago, I've moved out of my role in homicide to a role as a full-time task force officer with the FBI, assigned to a violent crime squad in the Atlanta division or the Atlanta field office here.
All right. I'm just quickly going to listen to this guy and see if I listen to his testimony or not, because I believe there are 2 witnesses that I did not get a chance to listen to. But there are 2 people that I want to focus on or hone in on during this video.
In general, what are some of your roles and responsibilities that you currently do?
So currently, I'm over 14 years in homicide. I'm tying up a lot of loose ends. finishing up some case files and still doing some active case work on some of those cases. But my primary role with the FBI is in this violent crime squad. We work any violent crimes that have a federal nexus, essentially any violent crimes that might be a federal offense. I work on exigent circumstance cases, sometimes prisoner escapees, sometimes kidnappings, sometimes missing children.
So when he's referring to exigent circumstances, basically in other words, in simple terms, it's emergency. Okay, let's simplify it. What that means is emergency circumstances under which an officer would not be required to have or to obtain a warrant in advance when otherwise that is the standard.
I'm also a member of the FBI's cellular analysis survey team after having gone through the certification curriculum for the CAST team last year.
Do you work with Agent Bernie?
I do, regularly and often.
Now,
Man, some of these comments are really mean. Renee out here said he looks like he be talking to himself in the mirror and lying.
when was it that you
Man.
started working with the FBI?
June 1st.
Another person, he thinks he's a movie star. What? How did he do that? And then Timu Proctor from Power. That's if you watched Power. But that would actually, wasn't Proctor an attorney? Or was he FBI? I thought he was an attorney.
1st of last year, so about a year and a half ago now.
Now, when you were with APD and working as a homicide detective, do you have any experience with extracting cell phones?
I do.
Can you explain to the jury what experience you have regarding that?
Starting with my experience with APD that led me to mobile device forensics or dumping cell phones. After being a patrol officer, I joined APD in 2002, and I was a patrol officer up until 2008, where I made detective. I spent a year doing mostly violent crime investigations, but any generalized investigations. Sometimes I'd work shootings and robberies, and sometimes I'd work parcel thefts, like package thefts and fraud. In 2009, I was transferred to the Special Victims Unit.
All right, we're not going to
there-
go through the rest of his testimony. I just need to find. Oh, my time is a bit off, but I think this would have been around. I don't know, maybe 11 Eastern time, but we'll see. I just want to go. Hold on, did he get off the stand? Okay, let's see what.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to publish 336 Victor.
All right, I was not
Yes.
focused here. I was in a meeting. Let's see, I believe that
Victor
ends
through
sprayed with bullets.
347, and then
I
350
want to get to
through 353,
cross-examination.
as well as two.
There we
At the
go.
right edge. That would be heading
cross.
west on I-20 there.
We need Shardt to cook. That's why we're
Thank
doing
you,
this.
Detective Leanpacker. Your Honor, no further questions at this time by the state.
All right. I assume y'all are going to have cross. Is it going to be like 30 minutes? All right. Y'all want to just go ahead and get this finished before we break for lunch? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I think this is the witness that I'd like to talk about with, apart from, okay, let me just finish one thought. I thought that the cross-examination here, we're basically going to get a master class in cross-examination as well as redirect. I thought both, listen, if you're here, I have no dog in this fight. So I basically watch these in order to enhance my skills, but I thought that the cross and redirect of this witness was done very well. All right, come on.
Detective Leon Packer, good afternoon now.
Good
So
afternoon.
respectful.
Max Shardt, we met before, but Max Shardt, I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay?
Yes, sir.
I just want to ask you first, about what we talked about first in direct, talking about the downloads of the phone. We talked about you were able to find searches
Mhm.
on a phone that you download or extract the data from, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I should say I didn't find searches because I didn't sift through the data, but I'm aware of there being some.
And this is a signal that this witness is actually really good. He not just that he's credible, but he knows how to answer questions. As a prosecutor absolutely wants a witness like him because they don't crumble under pressure. And to some extent, he might be defense nightmare because he is one that's not easy to trip up. So he's able to correct the language and make sure that defense is not putting words into his mouth.
Some links associated with searches.
So let me get this clear. You extracted information from several phones, including my client's phones, but you did not review any of the downloaded information.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know who reviewed the downloaded information?
I provided all of the extractions to investigator Marissa Viverito, who I believe conducted.
I cannot wait for Viverito
thorough,
or whatever her name
reviews
is
of the
to
data.
take the stand.
Okay. Now it seems to me that your role now in law enforcement
She's going to
focuses
get
a lot on
cooked.
cell phones, correct?
Yes and no. I actually, in my role now with the FBI, I expect that I'll be spending a lot more time working with cell phone records from providers and less time working in mobile device forensics. So I'm transitioning now. But yes, over the past several years, I've been working a lot with mobile device forensics.
Get a lot of head.
You were once a homicide investigator, though, correct?
Up until about 3 weeks ago, yes, sir.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, as a homicide investigator, if you see a search in a phone, is there some information you'd want to know? Let me back that up. You would want to know when.
And what I figured from, as I said, this was a really good witness for the prosecution. What I figured or learned from this cross-examination by Shardt did not actually, he was probably hoping for certain responses. But other than that, it was very clear that he was fishing for information that he was going to use at a later stage. And I'm assuming that he's going to use that information against, what's her name? Viverito, or whatever her name is. But that's what I got from this cross-examination. He was pretty much fishing for information in anticipation of the one of the detectives or investigators.
That search was made, correct?
Yes.
And that's what kind of made this witness a good witness for the prosecution, because he was not speculating. If he did not know the answer, he pretty much made it. He just answered questions. He's not the type that volunteered information that was not asked of him.
And now let me be clear, because on direct, you did say a few things. It could be when a search shows up with keywords, it could be someone clicking on a link sent by someone else, right?
Yes.
It could be someone searching in their phone themselves, correct?
Yes.
And it could be someone else utilizing a device, right? Just because it's someone's device doesn't mean they were the ones utilizing it at that time, correct?
Yes, I wouldn't count that as a third option, because as a forensic examiner, I'd only be concerned about what the phone did. So no matter who's holding the phone when it did what it did, it's only one of the two, right? The phone navigated to a URL that resulted in search results from, say, Google, regardless of who's holding it.
Okay. Now, with all those qualifiers aside,
You see, and this is what I mean by the way this witness responds. When you're a prosecutor, when I was a prosecutor, I absolutely loved law enforcement as witnesses, because it's rare that they would crumble under pressure unless it's, there's, let me just bring it up. No, we're not going to bring that up right now. Provided it's not somebody that's corrupt or shady, they usually make good witnesses. But when I was a public defender, I absolutely hated law enforcement as witnesses, just for the obvious reasons.
As an investigator, if you saw search results in a phone of a person of interest, you would want to know what date that search was allegedly done, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You would want to know, if you were investigating a case with such a cell phone, you would want to know if on that date of that search, other people had already alerted the owner of the phone of the fact that
These people are so crazy in this chat. Somebody's out here is asking for Yak and Shannon to get life. Like,
something had occurred at an address,
what
correct?
benefit?
I would take that into consideration in my examination of the results, yes.
So for instance, if the search was homicide or shooting, Smith Street, X Bell Street, corner of Smith and Bell, you would want to know if the person that owns his phone or may have been using this phone is just searching that on them by themselves with no prompting, or if someone else has already alerted them to a fact that a shooting had occurred at that address.
A new coach
So many ads.
and a game to get to. And rear cross.
That would be an important fact to know as an investigator, wouldn't it?
It would be important, an important consideration in how I reviewed the data. Yes.
Okay, and you'd also want to know, if the person searched these terms, hours after an event or days after an event, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you'd want to know if there was press coverage.
So timeline is obviously the most, or from what I've figured, the timeline is Shardt's main point of attack here.
About this event prior to the person searching.
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds?
Press coverage.
Overruled.
Yes, and I'll add to explain my answer. It's not uncommon in cases of, I've worked homicides and I've been on our complex case squad in homicides. So I've worked a lot of violent crime cases, even those that haven't been homicides.
I'm going to object as non-responsive.
It's obvious he is frustrating Shardt, because Shardt is not getting he's not getting the type of responses that he's hoping to get out of him.
If we're going to get into what usually happens.
Let him explain his answer.
Okay, thank you.
And it's not uncommon that there is media coverage of violent crime incidents when I'm conducting an investigation into such an incident. And it's not uncommon for those searches to be.
We'll eventually get to Taisha Alexander, but I wanted to, go through the witnesses in chronological order. We won't focus a lot on, then somebody's going to get on here and talk about the ankle monitor or the scram bracelet that he had, that Shannon had. And we'll eventually get there. We'll be quick with it. But, I'd still like to go through some other witnesses.
Related to that media coverage of that incident.
Right. Okay. So, but certainly there's a difference between someone, a suspect searching unknown keywords that no one else would know except them versus searching keywords after there's been media coverage, correct?
That's difficult for me to answer in the hypothetical because oftentimes as an investigator conducting this type of search of a forensic analysis of a phone, I don't know what someone knows about the incident or how many people know it, especially
This is somebody that's trained, that is responding, and that's what makes him a good witness for the state.
if it's an
And
incident
obviously, he's not that great for the defense.
that I suspect multiple people were involved in.
Well, what if in that phone there was actual messages from other people alerting that person to the event? Would that give you
This is obviously, I would think that this is his theory, or at least Shardt's theory. He's going to bring on some folks. I hope he doesn't get Shannon on the stand. That would be terrible. But I'm assuming that he plans on bringing a witness on the stand that is going to testify to the effect that Shannon was pretty much just following directions or searching for terms that were given to him, or at least this is the theory that he would advance with his expert. He has to bring in an expert in this case.
insight as to whether they knew about the event?
The person conducting the search?
Yes.
Um,
If other people had told them,
Yeah.
texted them,
Yeah.
sent them news articles in their phone.
yes and no. Yes, and that it would give me insight that there's evidence in the phone of the person operating the phone likely receiving information in that text message that, hey, this incident occurred. But no, in that I've worked many homicide cases where
He's
I
making
see
it
people
clear.
that that I did charge with participation in a murder that were receiving notifications from other people. Hey, did you hear about this incident? So one may have nothing to do with the other, but one could have something to do with the other.
It could be
This
important.
guy is trained. This is a trained professional, somebody that has testified. This is not his first time in a courtroom. It's very obvious from the way he answers.
I would take it into consideration. Yes, that absolutely be a part of my consideration in examining the phone.
As a homicide investigator, you would take it into consideration whether someone told the owner of the phone about specifics of that event before they typed in the keywords.
Yes.
And do you know what ATL Scoop is?
Yes.
Okay, ATL Scoop gives updates or really quick news about events
So somebody said, I'm sick of law and crime and all these ads. Yeah.
around Atlanta.
I mean,
Correct.
That's
Yes, largely the reposting of individual Instagram users' coverage of events around Atlanta. It's a big reposting site typically.
Did ATL Scoop, to your understanding and knowledge of this case, Shamal Drink's shooting, did ATL Scoop have updates being sent throughout Atlanta
so somebody says he's not afraid of you, Max. He wants all the smoke.
within hours of the shooting?
I don't know.
It's assuming facts.
Okay, well, he said he doesn't know. anyway.
If you know.
I don't know. I honestly.
And that's what I'm saying. Another witness, a lay witness, would be out there speculating and just, making up answers as he goes. So this guy is trained and it shows.
Very little about this case other than I worked next to the detective that was the lead detective, Al Hogan. But I know very
Good
little
point.
about the circumstances of this
Do you
case.
know if my client's girlfriend reached out to him?
Dang,
With it-
not the girlfriend. They are talking about, what's her name again? Taisha?
In hours of the shooting just to check if he was okay and alerted to him about the shooting?
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation, assuming facts out of the.
Sustained.
Do you know?
This is what I said initially. Shardt was just fishing for information. So the reason why he is asking this officer about whether Taisha, if that's the girlfriend now, I don't know. If the reason why he's asking about Taisha and what she may have said to Shannon is because, again, he's fishing. So he's trying to lock this witness in order to it's not really lock. He's not going to lock Taisha in, but he's using this information to basically build up to his cross-examination of Taisha, because obviously on this day, even if Taisha was not brought on this specific day, it's still information he was going to use.
If my client's grandmother did the same.
Sustained.
Okay, so you don't. You
Isn't
didn't
that the granny that was asked about the marriage license, or is it a different granny?
review the phone, so you don't know any of these answers that could add context to any searches.
From the phone or my knowledge of just being in the homicide unit next to the lead detective, no, I still don't know the answer.
You see, he could have said no, but he had to explain his answer.
Okay, great. Now, let's turn the page to the search warrant on 2830 Waters Road. Okay, is that okay? The execution.
I mean, we can talk a bit more about search warrants. I don't know that anybody would be interested in that boring detail or those boring details, but we can certainly discuss that if anybody's interested.
The search warrant.
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Now that happened there was, to your understanding, there was a shooting in the morning hours, March 16th going into March 17th of 2022 at that address, correct?
Yes. Again, I know very little about the other shooting as well.
I don't know why they're talking about Kayla Bumpus in here, but I don't know, is she in the chat?
I just went to assist in the execution of the search warrant, so I don't know very many case details about the other shooting, but it is my
And
understanding.
then somebody else noticed that he just wanted the jury to hear that. So that's what I mean by this guy being trained, because you can see him turn his body and explicitly tell the jury whatever it is that he wants them to know.
That yes, there was another shooting that was
Apparently, Lil
just
Woody's in
before
here.
this incident.
And you observed holes in the house, you observed holes in vehicles that were parked in yard, etc., correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you know how many people were living at 2830 Waters Road at the time that you executed the search warrant?
No.
Do you know how many people frequent that address when we're frequenting that address in March of 2022?
Hey, Ladybug. Thanks for tuning in. Happy to see you here.
No, any evidence of that would have been on that video surveillance system that was no longer present when I executed the search warrant.
Do you know of who the registered owner of that address is?
No.
Okay. Now, I wanted to just
Hey, Snitch Hunt. You guys are back. I'm glad you're back.
clarify a few things about your direct testimony. First of all, Ms. Knight or Mr. Atkins, could you kindly display 318 Victor Victor? Now, what time did you execute this search warrant? Like when we saw that video that you made at 2830.
And then just briefly, the requirements for a search warrant for a vehicle are very different from those for a home, as an example.
What time of the day was it?
I don't recall, but I'll add that I often do, and I believe I may have in this case. When I start recording a video, I verbally say aloud the date and time.
Snitch Hunt, we're gonna talk more about we're gonna talk about that marriage at the very end, because Taisha obviously testified, and I thought she said some very interesting things, especially when she was asked if she's in a relationship with Shannon or not. So we'll definitely get to talk about that at the very end. But what I'm trying to do now is get through this witness, because I thought his testimony was pretty good. And then I also want to talk a bit about the GPS scram, and then we'll jump into Kayla.
Time.
Not Kayla. You see, I'm confusing the people. Taisha. I'm sorry, Kayla. Not you.
Again, the recording of the video. And I know that the audio is not included in this published version of this video. But I'd have to refer to that to tell you the exact
That's fine. Do you have an approximate time? I'm not going to hold. Okay, it's fine.
Sorry, I don't. Yeah.
Light hours.
Daylight, yes.
Okay. All right. You are aware that on March 17th, while around the same time that you were conducting the search warrant at 2830 Waters Road, my client
Somebody said he's the police version of Woody. Yeah, you cannot get you cannot get anything out of this man.
was being arrested at Meadowlark Drive in a white a white Audi with Maryland plates with tinted windows. You're aware of that?
No.
Okay.
If I was back then, I don't have any recollection of it
That's what I mean about his responses. The way that he responds, he covers all his bases. He's not trying to get caught up.
now because I wasn't involved in that investigation.
All right. Well, I want to be very clear about a few things. 318. Okay, we see a blue car, correct?
You talking about the vehicle that's here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Blue car. It is an Audi.
Yes.
Okay. And you found various things in the car, and we're going to get to that in a second. You are not suggesting that this is the white Audi with tinted windows that was rented to Shannon Stillwell, are you?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about that.
Okay. All right. This pink hat, 323 Victor, if you would, Miss Knight. Thank you.
And then with his hands in his pocket and everything. On fire.
See that pink hat? And I think there's a better picture somewhere in here, but we're talking, and you have it in front of you.
Yes, it's right here.
Okay, that pink hat that's in that envelope. You aware that Mr. Stillwell was arrested on the same day in the white Audi wearing a pink hat?
No.
Okay. This pink hat would not have been something that you took from the scene and then somehow met up with Shannon Stillwell and gave it to him to wear for when he would be arrested, is it?
No.
Okay, so this is a completely separate pink hat. Isn't that correct?
I don't know when Mr. Stillwell was arrested or
Okay.
what the circumstances were, what time that was, if it was before or after the execution of this warrant. If I accept what you're telling me
But that is reasonable doubt right there, or at least he's planting the seed.
as fact, then sure, he was arrested before with a pink hat, but I don't know. I just know that this hat was recovered in this car on March 17th. I put it in this envelope, sealed it, and put my initials on it, and that's the last time I saw it before today.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that answers the question.
Hunt, who's Rachel?
Now, in this car, you also found a gun, a very large gun. And that's what's in front of you on that table, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what
Well,
kind of gun?
no, that's the gun that went back to the ATF.
You're right. Thank you
Stolen
for that
firearm.
correction. And what type of gun was that?
That was it was a Ruger AR 5.56.
Okay. And that gun was found in this blue Audi. And it was also inside the blue Audi was a license in the name of Eric Moore.
Yes.
Okay. And Eric Moore, did you investigate further into who Eric Moore was?
I believe I ran Eric Moore's driver's license at some point.
Somebody said this defense is weak. I mean, I think he's just, in all honesty, this man, I think he said his last name begins with a P. He's a major contributor in terms of chain of custody or the progression of the investigation, but he is not the crux of the state's case. And in my opinion, Max is really just fishing for information because so far, with the exception of the hat, nothing that he's asked him. I mean, the witness is also kind of trained, so he's dodging. He's dodging those questions a little bit.
To identify who he was, but no, I didn't conduct any follow-up investigation into that aspect of the processing of this vehicle or its contents.
Okay. Miss Knight, if you could put up 319 Victor, please. So that's the gun that was found in the blue Audi, correct?
Yes.
All right. Cool. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Stillwell's fingerprints are on that gun?
I don't physically have any evidence of that.
Should have said yes
I
or no.
believe the gun was taken by the crime scene technicians for additional processing. The results of that I'm unfamiliar with.
Do you have any evidence that Mr. Stillwell's DNA is on that gun?
Not me. No, I believe the guns were processed for additional evidence, but to what extent and what those results are, I don't know. I don't have that evidence. I don't want to.
And this witness, chef's kiss, as far as the state's case is concerned, he was thoroughly, I don't know if he was prepped or this is just how serious he is what he take or how seriously he takes his job, but he's solid as far as the state is concerned.
I don't want to speak on behalf of the police department to say that the police department or the Georgia Bureau of Investigation does or does not. Kevin Leon Packard doesn't have DNA results.
Anyone that comes from the crime lab, I'm going to make sure I ask them the same questions. I'm just asking
Yes,
you.
sir. Yeah.
So you don't have any evidence that Mr. Stillwell has ever touched this gun?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. All right. And let me ask you this. This gun, are you aware that Mr.
And somebody out here said, man, this is horrible. The state should be sued after this. Actually, they are immune. Okay. If you've ever worked as a prosecutor, that's probably, not even probably, that's one of the most powerful jobs that a person can ever have. And it extends beyond just the government. That's a really, really powerful job. And the same goes for judges as well.
Drinks.
Unless they're just malicious in their prosecutions, but for the most part, they are immune.
Deceased Mr. Drinks from the 3/14/2022 shooting was shot with .40 caliber ammunition.
I'm unfamiliar with that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Does this gun shoot .40 caliber ammunition?
No.
All right, excellent.
He's like, as the state, I probably would have objected to that commentary by defense, the excellent, because obviously it's going to give a signal to the jury.
Miss Knight, if you could help me out and look 328 VV.
And does anybody know if Kayla Bumpus was in court today? I'm just asking in anticipation of Taisha, what's her last name again? Oh, Taisha Alexander testifying. Does anybody know if she was in court or not?
Definitely further down. It's
This man is really confident.
no, up. There we go. Thank you. All right. This is the second gun that you collected at 2830 Waters Road, correct?
Yes.
And that was in the mud. This gun was in the mud by a Jeep Liberty.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Did again, I'm going to ask you any DNA or fingerprints that you're aware of that link to Shannon Stillwell?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And
what I've at least today through our cross-examination, Shardt has been disassociating his client from everybody else, which I thought was very, very brilliant. Because obviously this gun was recovered, but he's like, this has nothing to do with my client.
how about that Jeep Liberty? Are you aware of any links that would link or connect Mr. Stillwell to that Jeep Liberty?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So, and let me ask you about what type of gun is this?
It's a It's a 7.62, I believe. It's a Romarm Cougar 7.62. The model is M10-762P. It's an AK-47 type firearm with a drum magazine.
And it shoots 7.62 bullet or caliber bullets.
Yes,
Okay. It does not shoot 40 caliber bullets, does it?
correct.
All right. Excellent.
He's like, excellent. Done it.
And Miss Knight, if you could 330 Victor. Now, this gun was actually found in the house at 2830 Waters Road.
Somebody said that the judge is sitting in the chair like she's tired and ready to go. This woman's ready to move on with her life.
Yes.
Okay. And any DNA or fingerprints that you're aware of that link this gun to Shannon Stillwell?
I have no knowledge of that.
Okay. And what type of
So, the questions that Shardt is asking might seem repetitive, but it's actually good because he's covering all his bases. It might be obvious that this witness did not testify to, any DNA, fingerprints, or tying these weapons to Shannon at all. But as far as a jury is concerned, the attorneys actually have to lead the witnesses to the evidence. Hold on. The attorney have to lead the jurors to the conclusions that they want them to reach.
gun is this?
This is a Taurus G3 9mm pistol.
9mm.
Yes.
Does this gun shoot 40 caliber bullets?
No.
That's important. Remember the prior comment, the prior remark about the judge being quiet, looking like she's tired? And then this person says she got to keep quiet not to drop any more N-bombs.
Were you involved in the search warrant of 855 Allison Way,
No.
the residence of Jeffrey Williams?
No.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
And again, obviously, fishing for information. And that's obvious right there.
Couple more questions. A 5.7 by 28 an FN gun, a 5.7.
Okay, so when he asked this question, it was not pretty obvious where he was going, but it later came out that is Shannon's, I don't even know, is it girlfriend, fiance, wife? I don't know. Shannon's Taisha, I suppose. That is a gun that she owned.
Would that shoot 40 caliber bullets?
I would not expect it to, no.
Okay.
I'm not a firearms expert or a ballistics expert.
Right.
But no, I would not expect, especially given those cartridge cases, the 5.7 cartridge cases that we recovered, or the one cartridge case I recovered, it was an elongated cartridge case versus a 40 caliber is much shorter.
And in FNX 45, FNX 45, would that shoot 40 caliber bullets?
I don't know what an FNX 45 is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just ask you this, would a 45 caliber handgun shoot 40 caliber
The redirect
bullets?
is like
I
in
would
2
not
minutes.
expect it to.
Okay.
I suppose under like
Here he
a
goes.
perfect set of circumstances, you might be able to put a 40 caliber
Here he goes.
cartridge in a
explaining.
45 caliber firearm. And it may, under the right set of circumstances, a firing pin might strike it in the right place, but I wouldn't suggest it, nor would I overtly expect it to fire that round.
At least not correctly.
Not correctly. I think it's a bad idea to try.
Yeah. Okay. Is it fair to say that you don't have any information about any guns ballistically matching the shooting of Shamel Drinks?
I don't know what that is.
If I ever came across any information about any ballistic
Again, this is a trained this is a trained witness.
matches or NIBIN correlations, I listed some in my report that I wrote following this incident.
Mhm.
Whether or not those matched that shooting, I don't recall.
Okay.
And I did not conduct any follow-up investigation into any correlations that were made from anything found at Waters Road or elsewhere.
How about any of these guns matching the January 10, 2015 homicide of Donovan Thomas?
I'm not aware of any, if there were any NIBIN correlations to that incident, I'm unaware of them, and I did not conduct that investigation into the murder of Donovan Thomas.
Okay. One last thing. As part of your involvement in this case, did you ever get a chance to review? I know that we looked at photos from Windsor Street. Did you ever get a chance to review the surveillance video from the FedEx on Windsor Street?
I don't want to misspeak and say that I never saw it because I know, again,
Again, it's obvious this man is trained. And we're going back to that timeline again, because Shardt has emphasized the timestamp, I believe, on the FedEx surveillance. So I suppose he's going to do something with that. At least either he's going to call a witness or that's part of, it's definitely going to be part of his closing.
Hogan sat 2 seats in front of me.
Uh-huh.
It's possible at one point I
Yeah,
saw it on his screen, but I have
sure.
no recollection of ever seeing that video.
For sure.
Did you ever speak to any FedEx employees and ask them to just describe what they saw on the video? Okay. All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
That was good,
Okay,
Cross.
thank you. Any questions?
Presto,
Read it.
presto.
All right.
Detective William Packer, how many murders have you worked in your experience with Atlanta Police Department Homicide Unit?
I've worked on hundreds of homicides in my tenure with APD Homicide.
How often would you find the homicide suspects, the murder weapon used in the murder?
Overruled.
It was more common to not find the firearm used in the offense. We have recovered. I have.
This was good. This was good redirect. Because obviously this goes back to Shardt's cross-examination regarding the weapons, right? Because Shardt is trying to show that none of these weapons that were recovered were used in any of the murders that his client is on the hook for. And with this redirect, it basically makes it clear to the jury that in a case, I guess, I don't even know if this is a case. I don't know what this is. But in an ordinary case, finding a murder weapon is pretty rare. So I thought this was really good.
Have recovered weapons used in homicides, but I'd say it's far less common.
And on
Right, like who keeps a murder weapon on them? Type of, I like that argument. That was a clever question.
do you know why that is?
Sustained.
Yeah.
Detective William Packer, on cross, you were asked a lot of questions about searching of a location in a phone. Do you recall that?
Searching a location of a phone?
A suspect searching a specific location in their cell phone.
Yes.
And you were also asked questions about if they were notified or hypothetically what someone knew. Do you remember that?
Yes.
If you had information that a possible homicide suspect was either at or within minutes at the scene and searched that location, how would you take that piece of information?
Sustained.
On cross-examination, Do you remember Mr. Shardt asking you about 8 to 10 questions about searching a location of a incident
Yes,
and how that would impact your investigation?
yes.
With those line of questionings that you remember, how would it impact your calculus?
This was great recross because he got around that objection. That was very clever.
If the person that searched the location was on the scene when the murder happened?
I would perceive that as being intelligence gathering to determine what the police knew about the incident.
The way that redirect, there was a case, I think it was the, what's the case out of Massachusetts? The Karen Reed trial. The attorneys in that case did a very terrible job when it came to redirect and recross. Think about it as a funnel, okay? You start with a direct, which is broad. Then you go to cross. Usually you can ask whatever it is you want to ask about. But then redirect is limited to what was asked on cross-examination. And recross is limited to what was asked during redirect. So it just keeps getting narrower and narrower. But these two attorneys right here, they did a very good job.
Through media reporting. And if I obviously knew who my suspect was because I'm searching his or her phone, then I would incorporate that into a series of questions that I might ask that individual given the opportunity to interview them about their search of these items. It's not uncommon in my experience for people that have been determined to be involved in an incident to say that they had no involvement and they weren't there, and that they had little if no knowledge about the incident at all. So whether I confront them with the knowledge of knowing they searched about the incident and probably other evidence that suggests that they may have been at the scene and the duration of time that passed between the incident occurring and when the search occurred would all be things that I'd want to talk to that individual about.
One brief moment, Your Honor. Thank you, Detective Lean Packer. No further questions by the state, Your
Is he
Honor.
walking around with Love's microphone?
I'm glad you answered that last question.
Yeah, with Shardt, if I was prosecution, I would be objecting to all these side comments.
The suspect that said they had no involvement and were not there, you think that's important?
Yes.
What about a suspect that says, I have no involvement, but yes, I was there. I was there. What if you have him on tape at a BP, crystal clear, wearing distinctive clothes, and he's not denying he's there?
He's obviously advancing his theory of the case to the jury, which is good.
Would you make sure that you watch the surveillance video of the killing pretty darn carefully?
Yes, among other things, given that assertion made by that person, there's additional things that I would do as well.
You wouldn't just ask someone that works for a business with no law enforcement training, hey, tell me what seems to be going on your videotape that you have, would you? You would want to watch it for yourself, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You'd want to watch it several times for yourself, wouldn't you?
Probably, yes.
You'd want to look for details that are important in that videotape, wouldn't you?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's have
Presto!
our lunch break. Thank you,
Presto!
Detective. You are excused.
That was
Thanks
fantastic.
for your time.
He did
Let's
support.
take
With that one
until,
question, he actually out in
1:30.
hyperbole. I speak in hyperbole. But that was a really, really good cross-examination or recross by Shardt. He ended on a high note. That's always how you want to end off. All right, so let's see. So they go lunch. Let me just get my notes. And then they are back, I think, an hour later. So we're going to fast forward. Ooh, I went too far. All right, so let's go. Yeah, but Shardt, he's brilliant. Brilliant. Very good with his cross-examination skills. I've not seen that with any of the other attorneys that are in this trial, but I keep saying, I know I'm biased, but I'll keep saying this over and over again.
The
Shardt,
proposed limiting
the best
instruction,
attorney in
yes,
this case.
Mr. Weinstein, that was a typo. I was super copying
Okay, let's see.
sentence from above or below, so
Can we
thanks
get
for
the witness in?
catching that.
Let's get the witness in. Somebody said, I'd be shocked if SB gets a not guilty verdict. I don't know. With this, we have to see how the case advances. Obviously, this case has been complicated by the number of defendants that they had in one trial. The case is also pretty lengthy. I don't know why on earth they would choose to have a case this lengthy, because the jury is not going to remember. Listen, I don't. Okay, I actually do have pretty good memory, because I was gonna say I don't know. I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but I do. I have good memory, but I don't know. For me, conspiracy, that's a hard charge to beat. Rico, a bit tricky. I mean, the Rico presentation was a bit sloppy. But as far as the Merck charges, I don't know. We'll see how it progresses. They're going to take a lot of time. And there's also something called jury nullification. We'll talk about that as we get closer to closing arguments. We'll discuss that in detail, because I would not be surprised if this jury did that. Jury nullification is rare. It's a defendant's dream, but it rarely happens. But if there's a case that's ripe for some jury nullification, I think that it is this RICO trial. All right, can we get the next person, please? I'm like Paige Whitaker now. Impatient. What are you talking about? You getting up? Come on. I think they're gonna call Doug Bailey. I just need to be sure so that I can move to or fast forward. Come on. Is that it? All right, let's see if this is Doug Bailey.
My name is Doug Bailey.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna pause right there. This is Doug Bailey. He is an operations manager. Basically, did some GPS monitoring. Let's see. What else does he say? Let me first introduce. I'm gonna let him introduce himself just a little bit, because he's going to talk about Scram, and then I have some remarks.
DOUGBAILEY.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bailey. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Can you tell the jury where you currently work?
Yes, I'm the operations manager of GPS monitoring and tracking services.
Can you explain a little bit about what GPS monitoring and tracking services does?
Yes, we are an electronic monitoring service provider. We install GPS ankle monitors and alcohol ankle monitors on people to track location and alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
Who is your primary client?
Typically pretrial defendants, as a condition of bond, that they're required to wear an ankle monitor.
Hang on just a second. Yes.
Right. Okay. So while they're at sidebar, so who's this? Doug talked about, typically it's pre-trial, or typically their clients or customers are people on pre-trial, but that's not always the case. Sometimes a person can have primarily though. Okay, so I'll give him that, because when a defendant is arrested and they're charged and they have their first appearance, oftentimes an attorney is going to argue for the client to be released. They're not always released, depending on if they have flight risk or not. So a GPS monitoring is one of those tools that a defense attorney typically will, I mean, sometimes prosecutors ask for it too, that they would argue for in order for their client to be released. That's if they're not being released on their own recognizance. And then as far as the scram bracelet, that thing has, it uses technology that I want to say absorbs. It can pretty much read the consumption of alcohol through one's skin. Okay. Sometimes I do not, at least in my jurisdiction, we did not use scram bracelets pre-trial. That's usually a part of a sentencing condition, typically when it comes to DUI, DWE, crimes of that nature, when somebody's convicted. And here's a fun fact, okay? Lotion, some lotions contain alcohol. And when some defendants apply specific types of lotions, they give a false reading, making it seem as if the defendant, at that time, they're really a convict because they've been convicted, making it seem as if the convicted consumed alcohol and possibly broke or violated their conditions of, what is this? Their conditions of release. But in any event, let's go on. So this is him. I am not going to focus a lot on his testimony. I really want to get to cross-examination. What he primarily talked about was obviously the locations that Shannon visited. They focused a lot on the battery of his ankle bracelet dying. And what I got from that was the prosecution was trying to make it seem as if Shannon's ankle monitor conveniently died right before he went out to commit a murder. So I want to move on to, I just want to get to cross-examination because that's always the best part. But I thought the prosecution or the assistant DA that directed the evidence here, I thought he should probably do closing because definitely don't want Love doing that. For Hilton, I don't know. I probably don't want her doing
Back up to when someone.
All right, hold on.
And this is 2:56 p.m. on March 17, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Does it appear to be at Chick-fil-A?
Yes, sir.
Now, after that location, from the Scram report, what is the next stable address that the ankle monitor
Too far?
reports location data for?
Okay, I'll just
That
start.
wraps around the person's leg from the device back to itself and secures it.
Okay, when you say a strap, are you talking about like a Velcro strap that can be taken on and off easily, or
A hard plastic strap.
and for instance, if I'm getting an ankle monitor, do I just put it on myself? Or does someone else put it on?
Typically,
It's
someone
fitted.
from the service provider, the company would have to come
Right.
and install it.
Okay. And without getting into exact words, if someone is putting an ankle monitor on my leg, your company.
Okay, so I want to get to, what time is it? It's getting, it's actually not that bad, but it's 10:38. I'd like to, eventually get to, what's her name? Taisha. What I got from here, hopefully, let me find the spot for the redirect because Shardt actually goes in here for quite some time. But what I thought was good about this cross-examination, the argument that Shardt advanced was that his client knew that he was being monitored all the time, and he thinks it's inconceivable that his client would be committing crimes while his whereabouts are being monitored. And then Shardt touched a bit on other instances when Shannon's what is this bracelet, his, I'm just saying bracelet. The word escaped me. When his ankle monitor had low battery. So he focused a bit on that to show that it is not uncommon for Shannon's for basically for the anklet to not to be low battery. Basically, that's what I got from that. But what I thought was lacking here, let me see. I did not write very good notes, but I'm just speaking from memory. I thought there was a good redirect here. So let's see. And you'd kind of need context, but we don't have time to go through. Oh, okay. Let's
That's correct.
stop
Yes,
there.
sir.
All right. Do you have that picture of 600 Interchange Drive?
I do. Yes, sir.
And then there's a missing part. The state missed a very huge, they failed to make a really good point during this direct, but I'll get to it after the redirect. They're talking about they're talking about GPS monitoring in the chat, talking about their cousins and everybody. Somebody said do crimes while on monitor, and in rental in your name is crazy work. And that's also at least what I was thinking. And the prosecution failed to pick up on this, or maybe they're going to bring it out during closing arguments, right? Shardt was advancing this notion or theory that it is inconceivable that Shannon would be committing crimes while he is being monitored. It's actually not that inconceivable. There are folks that engage in certain conduct while they have their cell phones on them and their cell phone towers, and they track them. So it's not out of the ordinary. It's not really something that I think a person would be thinking about all the time.
Okay, and this is where the monitor puts Mr. Stillwell at 10:55 p.m. on March 14th, 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And have you been to that location?
I have not, no, sir.
Do you know if there is in fact a recording studio
I think
at
this
that
is where it
location?
ends.
I do not.
Yet.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Yeah, so obviously here he did not have the type of high moment he was hoping for, but you cannot do that all the time.
No question.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, can I have a 30-second approach with you and Mr.
Yeah.
Shardt real quick?
It better be 30 seconds. I don't want to go. That's the thing. I want to forward, but I don't want to go. Let's see. Will that
One
work?
at night.
No, sir, that's typical.
Went too far. I went too far, but I thought the recross was brilliant.
On cross, you were asked about cutting off an ankle monitor, smashing an ankle monitor. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you've not watched the cross examination in its entirety, the theory that Shardt was advancing is that had his client basically that the battery died, it was not due to fault on his part, and that if Shannon actually wanted to get rid of this ankle monitor, he would have crushed it, he would have cut it off, he would have done all types of things instead of, just letting the battery die.
What happens when that occurs in terms of in the system?
There's an event recorded. If the device were to be smashed and separated, that shows up as a device tamper. Or if the device's strap were to be cut, that would show up as an event for a strap tamper.
And if the battery dies for whatever reason, does that show up as anything other than communication failure or low battery critical?
No, sir.
Now, you had mentioned about the charging is about 2 hours.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Is the charging of an ankle monitor in terms of the time any different than charging your phone at night?
No, sir. That's typically the analogy we use is you have to charge your phone every day. You have to
Right.
charge your ankle monitor.
And is the person wearing the ankle monitor responsible for charging the ankle monitor and making sure that it is active?
Yes, sir.
And they are notified when the battery begins to get low. Is that fair?
By the device itself, by a vibration. And if they were to look at the device, they would see a flashing red.
And on cross, you were asked about other times that the device stopped working or was not registering data. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Does that event details, that same document that you were looking at, show you when the device is plugged back in to be charged?
Yes, sir.
So for those gaps of time where there's no data, the device is not being plugged in to be recharged. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And you also had mentioned that the battery critical warning, there's a window of time for when it can die. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
So would the person wearing the ankle monitor know exactly to the minute when their battery would stop communicating with the monitoring company after that
A minute.
vibrating low battery?
Not to the minute. I mean, you could presume, like I said, there's a flashing light that continues from low battery through critical battery to dead. So if you were to literally watch the ankle monitor and see the light stop flashing, you could assume it's dead at that point. But
before that light stopped flashing, would you know exactly how many minutes left before that specific battery dies?
no, sir.
And we had on cross, you were asked about that window of time, March 14th, March 15th. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And with the event detail data, or excuse me, the event report data, the Excel spreadsheet that we looked at, do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair or not fair to say that within less than an hour from 10 p.m. on March 14th, 2022, the battery or the ankle monitor for Shannon Jackson did not return a signal for roughly 48 hours?
Come on.
Yes, sir.
No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Okay, yes, sir.
Presto. Presto. That
You want
was
me to ask one last question?
Okay.
My apologies. But what happens when there's an alert for a device tamper or tamper with the strap?
Can you clarify what?
When you had mentioned the device getting separated or the ankle monitor being physically cut, you said it's a tampering notification. What happens with that notification?
Oh, typically someone in our office would immediately get like a text message and an email, and the way the system is oriented on the computer screen for us, that person moves from wherever they were alphabetically to the very top, and there's a flashing red light. It's a high alert for a tamper. And one of our employees would then call the person, see if it's something happened out of their control, and see if we can get them in to get it corrected, or if there's belief that, there's an issue for public safety, we might call 911 and ask law enforcement to respond to the location. But
Shardt is ready to
tampers
attack.
are addressed as soon as possible by our staff to make sure the device is still functioning and on a person.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. No further questions.
Yes, sir.
Presto. That was really good. That was really good redirect. What they could have improved on, though, they made it clear that this was Shannon's responsibility to charge to charge the battery. What they could have improved on, because they talked a bit about the action that pretrial services would take when they receive information that, or an alert that the that the ankle monitor has been tampered with. What I wish he had actually asked is the type of reaction that pretrial services would have when a battery is low. This, what's his name again? Doug? I believe his name is Doug. What Doug then would have responded to is that when it's low battery, it's just low battery. It's not considered as, it's not a pressing matter. And that's why they did not react. I wish they had done that, but they didn't do that. Other than that, this was really, really good redirect. And then, let's see.
Mr. Bailey, I believe either you or the prosecutor said tampering. Charging a monitor is like charging a cell phone.
Like I said, that's the analogy we use. You have to charge a phone, you have to charge a monitor.
Right. I mean, that's fine as an analogy, but okay. Do you connect your
They inducted Shardt into YSL as well.
cell phone to your body when you're charging it?
No, sir.
Okay.
And I thought this argument about the inconvenience of charging an electronic monitor, that's just whiny. Listen, when you are on pretrial release, your liberty is restricted. At least you're not incarcerated. But I thought that argument, sure, it's an argument to advance, but I thought it was pretty weak. So we're almost done here. We're still trying to get to Taisha. We had this gentleman out here testify. He had found a firearm. I believe it was on his property. I don't know his name. I was on my way to my car. I was on my way to my car when he got on the stand. And then let's see. We get somewhere. This guy. Oh, this is the helicopter guy. I believe his name is Newman. Let's see. We're not going to focus too much on him, but there's a point that I thought Shardt should have hammered on that he actually did not, Anyways, he works for APD. This is Newman while he's getting on the stand. Newman, is it Brad? No, I think that's break. I think I wrote a break. Okay, so Sergeant Newman, he works for the APD aviation unit. He works the cameras, okay? And it's airborne. He talked about a pursuit. Let's see, we're just gonna fast forward. And I don't typically see things like this. Like, these are the types of things you see from, I don't know, California or something. That's usually where they have these pursuits. That's usually when they have these pursuits. But yeah, the driving, I don't know.
All right, stopped at the red light. Cleveland and Harris making a right turn northbound on Harris Street from Cleveland.
So I think in this one we're gonna jump right. Oh, is this thing over? I'm gonna jump right into cross. Is this cross? Are we past cross? I want to jump right into cross. I don't think cross was that long, but it was pretty good because it goes to Shardt protecting his client and disassociating his client from the evidence as much as he possibly can, which I liked. He did a very good job doing that.
Well, okay. There's a lot of voices on that video, so correct me if I'm wrong. I believe your voice can be heard saying that you saw someone throw something in the bushes or throw a bag in the bushes.
Pay attention.
Correct. All right. Your Honor, I'll ask permission to publish what was just shown, just beginning at 14:04. Yes.
No, it looks like he's getting antsy. I don't recall Shardt always being, I don't know, kind of fidgety, hands in the pockets, or I don't know, maybe he's just cooking. Excitement of trial. What are these folks out here saying? Somebody said he was running because state is crooked. Oh, right. That is something I'd actually written down here when I was watching this, or at least the pursuit. There's something called flight as evidence of guilt.
Northbound
Whether it applies to Shannon or not, it's really up to the jury.
behind 2481 Meadowlark Drive. Tower 1 pursuit over on station.
Pink Lady's joking. They're like, Shardt, didn't Shannon obey the traffic laws? So, because, I mean, he did a good job obeying traffic signals and directions and everything else in the rules.
I'm sorry, sir. Is this after they pulled in?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Abate. Could you just, as they're pulling? My apologies.
Coming up the Boulder Way.
All right, we're about to get into it now.
All right, he's pulling into a driveway. 2481 Meadowlark Drive.
Okay. At this point, and you have the vantage point, you're the eye in the sky at this point, correct?
Yes.
And even though you're in a helicopter, which would be scary to me, you're able to look down on the ground and see what's going on as you're in a helicopter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you just saw the man in the pink beanie get out the driver's side, correct?
Yes.
Get out the white Audi with tinted windows.
Correct.
All right. And then you see another gentleman get out the passenger side.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bate, could you just play?
Driver is he got two running. Driver has a maroon colored.
It's okay. It's not. You were able to see who had the book bag, correct?
Yes.
Was it the driver or the passenger?
Passenger.
Okay. And it's the passenger that you saw discard the book bag into the bushes, correct?
Yes.
All right. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, presto, that was really good. Like, you have to stop when you're ahead. That was really good because he pretty much disassociated his client from the evidence that they recovered. Like, okay, these two may have been together, but my client had absolutely nothing to do with that. And he does the same thing with, it's with this witness actually. Let's get to cross. So what's this witness name? Let's see. He definitely distanced his client from the evidence, so that was good. I think this is Alan. No, is it Mark? Is it Mark Campbell? I don't know. It's somebody. We'll find out. Let's see. So this officer works for East Point something. Yeah, for East Point something. I actually thought, I know, here I go on my random tangents again. But I thought that the song East Point Prayer by Vince Staples, I think Lil Baby's on that song. For some reason, I always thought, at least when I was watching this trial, I considered the possibility that it may have been referring to Georgia. Vince is from California. I assumed East Point was, or maybe there's an East Point in California. I don't know. That's just random. But it's a good song, so if you want to check it out.
For trigger pulls and so on.
Let me see. Did I miss the officer from East Point? Here he is.
Which was?
Cross?
It's just past Meadowlark Drive and Meadowlark Lane. I don't know past that. I'm sorry to cut you off. So,
no direction you were going.
Okay, listen to this cross.
Was that gun on the
right? Because I don't want to go back again because I'm going to miss the timestamp. Pretty much, this officer was called to the pursuit. I don't know if it was called. I'm paraphrasing. In any event, he spotted a handgun it's not really a chase. It was not really a chase, but I'm going to call it a chase. So he spotted a handgun in the road, okay? And so he turned around. He hit a 3-point turn. He turned around to retrieve the firearm. And what Shardt did during this cross-examination is again, he distanced Shannon from the firearm. He disassociated his client from the possession of this firearm. the way he did that, he focused on, where the vehicle, or not the vehicle, where the firearm was retrieved. It's obvious that Shannon was the driver in this car and not the passenger. So listen to the officer's response.
Right side of the road or the left side of the road, going by the original way you were going?
It was more so towards the right.
Okay. So if a car was going in that direction, the way you were going initially when you were catching up to the chase or whatever we want to call it,
Yes, sir.
that gun was on the passenger side of the road.
Yes, sir.
Presto.
And did you see anyone throw the gun or anything like that?
No,
in
sir, I
that
didn't.
time?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
All right.
He is distancing his client from the BS. I like that. All right. Very good. I don't know if any other attorney we've seen the attorneys in this case, but as I've been saying, Shardt's questions have always been on point. Some folks, they just ask random questions that aren't linked to anything, but a lot of those folks played out too. So, all right. So here we have, this is Angela Camp. Before she got married, she went, or maybe she got a divorce and went back to her maiden name. I don't know. Last name was North at the time of, let me get to Angela. Last name was North at the time of this investigation, but now it's Camp. At present, she is a high school math teacher. Prior to that, she was a firearm and tool marks examiner for GBI. So we're not really going to get into a testimony. It's not that juicy. Let's see, what's this document? I don't remember. Let's see, who's this? I believe this is Russell or David Waters, something along those lines. Something along the, all right, here we have, what's this? We have royalty in the house.
And how do you recognize them?
Taisha
These are
is about to
photographs
get on the
that I
stand.
took of the gun, where it was positioned.
Okay. And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the gun laying in the location you found it that day?
It is.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit 404 Victor Victor through
I could
407
forward,
Victor
but
Victor.
I don't.
Thank you. Those are admitted.
Okay. Permission to publish. Now going to publish 404 Victor Victor. And investigator Klickner, can you orient the jury what's depicted in 404 Victor Victor?
Yes. Next to that utility pole, just left of it, several feet into the grass, is where the gun is laying. It's the handgun itself, and then it's a magazine laying next to it.
Okay. Now publishing 405 Victor Victor.
All right, come on.
This is a slightly closer photograph of the same thing.
Okay. And 406 Victor Victor.
Come on. I do not have the patience, but I need to wait for a minute.
And again, this is a close-up photograph of the firearm.
Okay. And 407 Victor Victor.
Miss Taisha.
And that's a photograph, an attempted photograph of the serial number.
Okay. Do you know what type of gun that is?
That is a FN handgun.
All right. We're tying that to Taisha.
And Detective Klickner, did you prepare a report in this case?
I did.
Okay. Court's indulged for a brief moment, Your Honor.
All right, come on.
Nothing further at this time.
All right.
He should do closing for this.
Hey, afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Max Shardt. I represent Shannon Stillwell. You identified the gun that you collected on Meadowlark Lane on the side of the road as a FN handgun, right?
Yes.
What caliber is that FN handgun?
FN makes
This was actually it was good cross, but Shardt made it seem better than it actually was.
several, but this was a 45.
But he was just showing up.
45, you said?
Yes.
You
Okay,
heard
thank
him.
you.
Mhm.
All that confidence. Love it. All right, that's it. That's it. We know the chat's gonna go crazy with this
All right.
one.
Thank you for your time, and you are excused. Do you have another witness that's not
Yep.
super long? Yes. Okay, go ahead and call them.
Aisha. All right, so I did not watch the I watched most of direct of this witness, but not the cross. So it'll be my first time watching cross of this witness. For this one, I don't even know if we're going to fast forward. Let's see, it's 11:05 p.m. I'm still good on time. These people are so mean in these comments. So mean. All right, come on. I just do not want to fast forward because I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss anything. I did not want to miss anything. She is the witness of the moment. Somebody said not Taisha. Come on, Miss Taisha. Come on. I don't know why they muted the mics. I don't know why they did that. Somebody said they're going to say it's the ex-girlfriend gun. These people are crazy. Somebody said Hilton is dressed as Darth Vader. I don't know about all that. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right now. Talk that talk. Okay. How long have you known? You said you was one of the prettiest girls he ever had. All right. So does that mean y'all used to date?
Oh man, this trial is really, really wild. When I started watching this trial this morning, I did not expect it to end this way. Like these people love it. All right, Miss Taisha.
Yes.
Okay. When did you all date?
Since 2021.
And are you all still dating now? Just yes or no?
I don't know.
What you mean? How don't you know if you're dating? Does this have to do with the marriage license that has the alleged marriage license that has been floating around, or I don't know, like collect calls? Are you not picking up? Are you beefing right now? What on earth is going on? Does he not want you to testify? What's going on? Who's not calling who? Are you not putting money on his books? But that's kind of a crazy response, but she doesn't know. I want to know though, was Kayla Bumpus in court when she said this? Because I still don't believe Shannon and Kayla are an item. I don't believe that. But what kind of response is this? How do you not know if you go together or don't go together? What's going on?
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you own guns?
Yes.
Right. How many guns have you owned, or do you own currently?
Probably like 7, 6. I think.
That's a lot.
Specifically, I want to ask you: have you ever owned
That's a
an
lot.
FN 57 pistol?
So obviously, we know they're tying this to the FN that was recovered at the time of the pursuit. And who's this? Taisha, 7 guns, that's a lot. But there's a reason why she owns so many guns. I'm removing this. I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to switch over to a different screen. Okay, let's switch over to a different screen, and that will explain why. Let's see. I know you probably have seen this video before, but you probably also do not know that it was somehow linked to this trial. This was a video, it was viral back in, I want to say 2022. This was a viral video in 2022, and this is going to explain why Taisha owns firearms, okay? Why she owns that fire.
Millions watched her get ambushed on camera.
I really think that they were trying to kill me.
These would-be robbers in
Yep.
Atlanta thought that they had the right one,
Yep.
but little did the alleged criminals know their victims were packing. The victim speaks
Yep.
out in a shade room
So we
exclusive.
just
I
let's
really
go
think
back
that they were
there. This is why Taisha has
Watched her
7
get
firearms.
ambushed on
She knows
camera.
how to
I really think that they were trying to kill me.
she's not playing around.
These would-be robbers in Atlanta thought that
She
they had
is
the
not
right
playing
one,
around.
but little did the alleged criminals know their victims
That
were
girl's not
packing.
playing
The
around.
victims
But I would hate to live in Atlanta. Like, I don't know. You guys are just firing everywhere. What's going on? Let's get back into a testimony, though. Let's get back into Taisha's testimony. Here we go.
Yes.
Do you remember when did you purchase that gun?
Memory is fading.
December.
December
I don't
of
know.
what year?
I don't remember the year.
She does not
Have you
recall.
had the opportunity to look at the receipt from that purchase?
Earlier.
Okay, we're looking at a copy of that receipt, help refresh your memory as to what year and when you purchased that weapon.
You see, and according to me, when this woman went to court, she should have known if they are in a relationship or not. Shannon should have made sure that she knows that they are in a relationship. The way that witnesses typically, with the exception of Woody and I don't know, folks that are closely associated, okay, it might be different. But typically, especially when it comes to people that were in an intimate relationship once upon a time, if they are not on good terms, they're going to testify against their partner or ex-partner or whatever. But when they are on good terms, you're not going to get anything out of them.
Yes.
All right.
So Shannon should have made sure
Commissioner Approach, Your Honor.
that she knew that,
I'm going
you
to
know,
show you
she was
what's
a
been
girl,
marked as State's Exhibit
and that all this Kayla
425
Bumpus stuff is
BB.
not true.
Tell me, do you recognize 425 BB?
Yes.
Okay. And let me ask you, does that look like the receipt from when you purchased an FN 57?
Somebody said she's snitching on that boy.
Yes.
And I see that you're flipping through it. Does that look like the application you filled out when you went to go purchase your weapon?
And then somebody out here said that she still wants Shannon if she says she don't know. Oh, we don't know.
And
She flirting.
Your Honor, this how the state would like to admit 425 BB into evidence.
All right, that's submitted.
Looking at 425.
I should stop reading it. I should stop reading this comment. Somebody said the prettiest. Man, she's cute. Cute.
What is the date of purchase?
December 23rd, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see on that receipt a serial number or an SN number?
No, I don't know. Oh yeah, I see it.
Some of these comments
What is
are out
the
of pocket.
serial number listed on the receipt?
386-409-184.
All right. I'm going to show you.
Okay, so somebody out here said she's got a ring. Oh, actually, that is her left. That is her left hand. Somebody said she has a ring.
As
Okay.
221 BB. It's gonna be kind of tiny. I want you to tell me, do you see a serial number on 221 VV on the bottom?
Yes.
What is that serial number?
Man, I hate these comments. So somebody out here says he got a tie because she looks a little like Kayla. I think somebody said that in my chat. Was it last night or the night before? I'm not even gonna read that.
386-409-183.
In other words, she's not gonna tell on a man since she's the prettiest girl he ever had.
At the same serial number that's on the receipt.
And another person, I hope my daughter mama never testify on me. The state can make her.
What color is that gun?
If somebody cannot believe Shannon left her for Kayla, I don't think Kayla and Shannon go together.
I think it's
I
all
refuse to
black.
believe that. This might actually make more sense. Shannon took her out the visitors list. She's so happy to see him. I don't know about that. Is this Kayla Bumpus? Somebody said she's
And
fine.
does this look like the gun that she purchased?
Somebody's hating on baby hair.
Yes,
Visitor. Tongue tied. And then she keeps looking at Shannon. I mean, it's a tough place to be. She's smiling at him. I'm not reading that.
Have you, and back in March of 2022,
Oh, this is so.
did you allow Shannon to
guess.
use that gun?
No.
I guess. We have Washington Lewis in the house. Washington Lewis is at the engagement ring. They were engaged. I mean, based on what we watched last night on Miss Sylvia's, believe it was a live from whatever year, late 2022. They were engaged. I would like to believe that if folks were engaged and they call off the engagement, I'd like to believe that, you'd no longer wear the ring, but that's her business. And then Lewis says she was using tongue movement and biting her lip, looking in Shannon's direction. This is a tough position for her to be in, to testify against someone you're either engaged to, somebody you used to be in a relationship with. I don't know. It's tough. She's in a tough spot, but there's no type of spousal privilege between them. So she can certainly be forced to testify whether she wants to or not.
Did you ever give that gun to Shannon?
No.
I don't recall. Somebody said she's smiling.
Were you aware that he had possession of that gun?
No.
They keep going on about her smiling.
Do you know someone by the name of Demikion Garlington?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know Demikion Garlington?
He dated my friend.
I guess they all dated.
Do you know if he is a friend of Mr. Jackson?
Another person says Shannon stole her gun.
Yes, ma'am.
Or Mr. Stillwell? Have you ever spoken to Demikion Garlington?
And wants her back. Kayla married him after seeing the police chase. All right. Another person says, girl, look at us, not Shannon. Another person, they ain't dating no more after this. All right. Surprise. Yes. Now, Lewis, so Washington Lewis always has the tea. I need to put this up. Sorry. Her attorney went on X and said she was forced to testify after they gave her immunity. Who is the attorney? I don't have X though. Who's the attorney? But I can definitely look into it. Who is the attorney? Yeah. I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, yeah. Even if she did not have immunity, they could have dragged her in there to testify. Somebody says she's going to get wired up.
Have you ever spoken with Mr. Demikian Garlington in March of 2022 about
Somebody
you
said, I like your weave, girl.
giving Mr. Stillwell that handgun?
I don't know.
Ha! These people are so messy. That's Kayla's man now, sis. These people are so messy. Y'all peep the ring? We're so nosy. She's still in love with him. She over there getting all teared up over the man she
I don't
wants
know.
badly. Somebody
I don't-
told her to plead the fifth. That's not an option if Lewis is saying that, she pled out or they gave her immunity.
No.
You don't know if you've ever spoken with him?
I spoke to him, but I don't know if I spoke to him about a gun.
Specific.
Hold on, my MacBook's about to die. I'm just out here focused on rings and all types of things because I am nosy. Ooh, I'm nosy. Hold on, folks. Tech difficulties.
Specifically on March 17th, 2022, do you recall speaking to Mr. Garlington about that gun being in Mr. Shannon Stillwell's possession?
Don't lie now. Thanks, Lewis.
Do you remember ever speaking to Mr. Garlington about the fact that Mr. Stillwell had been arrested on March 17th, 2022?
You don't recall?
I don't know. No.
Don't lie.
Or you don't remember?
I don't remember.
And in that call, do you remember telling Demikian Garlington that the gun he had would be a clean gun because you gave him that gun?
It's a mess.
No, I don't know.
That's a mess.
Don't remember.
Somebody said she's
I'm gonna
about to
take you to
melt
March
in that chair
14th,
looking at
2022.
Shannon.
Did you ever go to an Alamo rental car facility at the airport with Shannon to rent a vehicle?
Yes.
And who was the renter of the vehicle?
It was me, but we had to switch it because I don't have a credit card. So, Shannon.
All right. So this her testimony that the only reason why the vehicle was rented in Shannon's name, ultimately it's really the state's case to prove, but that contradicts Shardt's theory. This is from, I believe, from last week, where he was trying to make it seem that Shannon had nothing to hide, and that's why he went ahead and rented the vehicle in his name. But now we're finding out that that was not actually the plan. That was not the initial setup. She just does not have a credit card.
So did Shannon rent the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 188 VV and 189 VV.
Somebody said, why didn't they prep her with a recorded call?
First, looking at 188 VV, is that you inside that vehicle?
Somebody out here said perjury.
It looked like me.
And what type of car did y'all rent in March of 2022?
I don't know.
Do you remember renting a white Audi vehicle?
I didn't rent it.
Okay. Do you remember being with Mr. Stillwell Jackson when he rented the white Audi vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And looking at this picture, 188 VV, does the car appear to have any tint on the vehicle at this time?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know. It looked like it on the back.
Okay. Are you able to see inside of the car through the glass?
Ma'am.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Pull that mic over to you and try to talk directly into it if you don't mind.
You can tell Paige is ready to go. She does not have time. Impatient.
Of course. And is that Mr. Stillwell Jackson sitting next to you in the passenger seat?
Yes, ma'am.
She learned a lot from Woody, so they say.
Now, in March of 2022, where were you living?
I know. I agree with this comment. Elizabeth Morales says we want to see Shannon's face. I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see that.
I'm still.
And specifically around March 14, 2022, were you and Mr. Jackson staying in any hotels in the Douglasville area of Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember when you began staying in hotels in the Douglasville area?
I don't remember the day.
How long were you staying in hotels?
We was staying in a hotel since March 9th.
March 9th. Why were you staying in hotels since March 9th of 2022?
Somebody out here said that she was trying to, I lost the comment, or trying to help Shannon stay safe.
These girls tried to rob me.
Yeah, we saw that video.
Did you know who these girls were?
No, ma'am.
Oh, these comments are
Do
crazy.
you know if these girls were affiliated with any gang?
I don't know.
Sure.
You said you started staying there on March 9th. Do you remember if you stayed at the hotels a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Do you remember at all?
It was like 3 hotels. It was. Oh, you want me to keep going?
You stayed at 3 different hotels.
Some of these comments are cracking me up.
Over the course of how long? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Do you remember?
It was probably like until he got locked up.
On March 17th. Yes. Okay.
Somebody said she's probably in a YSL video.
Of course, indulgence for 1 moment.
Hilton should have gone a bit further with her. Took it too easy. Somebody said she's ratting.
For Demekion Garlington, did you have a nickname that you called him?
Scarface.
Any other nickname?
I didn't call him that, but I know his other nickname.
What's that?
Lil D.
And then did you call him Jackson or Stillwell?
Both.
Okay. Does he have a nickname?
Babe.
Yes, people. Atlanta's not a real place. Not a real place. She said, what? I need to go back. I'm sorry. She said, what?
3 weeks. Do you remember?
Did I go back too far?
It was probably like until he got locked up.
On March 17th.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'll leave it there. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Of course, indulgence for 1 moment.
That is really crazy. What happened to the comments? That girl. That is really crazy. I'm going to need these comments to populate again.
For Demekion Garlington, did you have a nickname that you called him?
Scarface.
That girl said, what?
Any other nickname?
I didn't call him that, but I know his other nickname.
What's that?
Lil D.
What a mess.
And then Mr. Did you call him Jackson or Stillwell?
Both.
Okay. Does he have a nickname?
Babe.
Man, this child is too wild.
That's fair. That's fair. Did you ever hear people call him SB?
Yes, ma'am.
One thing about this witness, though, she is very respectful, really respectful. It says, "Ma'am, sir." That's wild.
And in March of 2022, did you have a vehicle that you owned?
Yes, ma'am.
And what type of vehicle is that?
Backpack Charger.
And did Mr. Jackson have a vehicle that he owned in March of 2022?
We shared the car.
It was that you shared that Charger.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Yeah, Ladybug, it's crazy. At Team Court, she said she called that man Bay.
Miss Alexander.
Oh, wow.
Good afternoon. Hey, we've met before, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me start out with, I'm not trying to embarrass you.
All right.
Okay. In your relationship with Shannon from 2021 to when he was arrested, were there issues, thank you, with infidelity?
Ooh, what? I did not listen to cross-examination because I had things to do, but what on earth is going on? What on earth is going on? This is too much even for me, and I'm nosy. All right.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Wow.
My mom messed up. Yes, sir.
Okay.
2 times.
Wow.
You said 2 times?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And at some point throughout your relationship, had you
On whose part though? Who was doing the cheating? That's what I'd like to know.
gone through his phone?
Yes.
Okay. When you went through his phone, you were looking for other women that he was messing with, correct?
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. And
That's why she's not sure if they go together or not. That's why she's not sure.
Did he openly let you look at his phone? Or was he protective of his phone?
He wasn't there when I looked in it.
Okay.
So he gave me the password.
Let me ask you this. When he was arrested on March 17, 2022, did you have interest in looking at his phone to see what he had going on?
I see where this is going.
No, I didn't have his phone.
No, I didn't say, did you have his phone? I know you didn't have his phone.
Oh, did I want to?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So March 17, 2022, you want, one of the things you want to do is look at his phone
Yes.
and what he has going on inside his phone.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool. Now,
Hey, Jasmine. Thanks for tuning in.
You said something interesting on direct about being robbed. When were
We have that video. We can play it again, or maybe we can end with it.
you robbed?
What day?
Yes.
Like the 9th, 10th?
March 9th or 10th of 2022?
I think it was March 9th.
March 9th of 2022? Okay. And Miss Alexander, at that time, you were
Shannon.
working in a cash industry, correct?
Ooh,
And by that, I mean you would get paid in cash. and
cash
you would-
industry. Man, I wish these comments. What happened to the comments? I'm nosy as hell. I need these comments. I'm gonna rewatch. I'm gonna rewatch this in the morning when I get to work.
you tend to
I
have
need to
cash
read.
on you, correct?
I dance.
Industry.
Okay.
So yeah.
So at that time, you were a dancer.
Ooh.
hmm
Okay. And as a dancer, you get paid cash, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that robbery happened at night, correct?
Yes, sir.
Shannon wasn't with you
Or was she
when you
dancing?
got robbed.
No,
Okay. And this robbery.
I didn't get robbed. They tried to rob me.
They tried to rob you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They did try to rob you.
Go ahead.
And this attempted robbery, this is all on video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And people hid out and waited for you to walk down a hallway. And then
I think
they charged you with weapons, correct?
They charged me? They charged at me?
Yeah, they charged at you.
Yes.
Okay. And because you were being robbed,
Sure, you better make a valid point.
Shot him.
Shot at them.
Shot her.
Oh, you shot her. Okay. All right. Now,
I should not be laughing at that. Yeah, she ain't this.
ultimately, the people that were trying to rob you on that video were charged, correct?
That she shot them.
Yes, sir.
By the police?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were never charged because you were acting in self-defense.
Yeah, I
I'd
didn't
be
get charged.
objecting.
Okay. But on March 9th of 2022, after someone tried to rob you and take your money from you, you became concerned for your safety, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You became concerned that people were looking out for you, correct?
Yeah, clearly.
You were concerned that people were going to try to, for some reason, get revenge on you, even though all you were doing was defending yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
what's the name up here?
Beginning on March 9th, 2022, you started having concerns about people being able to know what kind of car you were driving, correct?
That still does not explain. That still does not explain the firearm that she did not give to her boyfriend at the time on the scene, or the pursuit. But it doesn't explain it, Shardt.
Yes.
And knowing where you lived, correct?
Yes.
And that was all stemming from the March 9th, 2022 incident, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after the March 9th.
Jasmine, how do you know that? How do you know that she is a text preparer?
2022 incident, you certainly let Shannon know about what happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you decided, even though you had a Scat Pack Charger, that's a fancy car, right?
Yeah.
Even though and that Scat Pack Charger had tinted windows, did it not?
The worst tint you could get.
The darkest tint you could get.
Yeah.
Okay, but even though you had that Scat Pack Charger with the tinted windows, you decided that you needed to get a rental, correct?
Yeah.
And you went and got a rental.
I don't know about putting tints on a rental, though. I don't know.
So shortly after March 9th, 2022, correct?
Yeah, like, I don't know if it was the next day. I can't remember.
Okay, and do you remember where you got your rental from?
On Thornton Road, but I think it was Enterprise.
Okay. I beg the court's indulgence just for a moment.
He's going to confer with his client.
And what kind of car did you get, if you recall?
It was like a SUV or something. I don't remember that. I don't know.
And that was to switch it up in case someone from the March 9th incident was coming to harm you.
Yes, sir.
All right,
And that's also why you got a hotel room, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, around this time, well, actually a couple of days later, Shannon also got a rental, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he walked right into the store with you, and you guys dealt with the cashier, and he gave over his ID and his payment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Hilton, you better redirect on this point.
Let me ask you about your Scat Pack. Even to this day, you had that car until recently, correct?
I still got it.
Okay, you still have it. Even to this day, you've continued to get that car wrapped, correct?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months, you get the car wrapped. What is wrapping a car?
The car color orange, but I keep switching it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Keep getting a different color.
And why do you keep getting a different color?
Cause I don't know who them girls was.
Right. So even to this day, you keep switching the colors of your car that you own.
Yeah.
Just to keep yourself safe.
Yes, sir.
And you got those windows tinted to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
I'd be objecting.
Now, let me ask you about tint. You've gotten tint on cars before?
Every car I get.
Okay. When you go and get tint, and when they install the tint, do they tell you not to roll down your window for 24 to 48 hours?
Yes.
Okay. And if you roll down your window within that time, it can cause the tint to be damaged or bubble up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you
Jasmine said she's definitely lying about not wanting to be seen because she's very extra. I don't have Instagram, so maybe I can check it out. What's her name on Instagram, though? I'm still able to, I think as long as it's not private, I should be able to see a few of her
were to get
content or a
tint
bit of
on,
her
say,
content.
March 14th of 2022, that tint, that those windows are not to be rolled down in order to protect the tint, correct?
Yes.
And if they are rolled down, you could see bubbling in the tint, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One last thing, Ms. Alexander, and I appreciate you being here. I'm going to take you back to March 14th of 2022.
All right.
Do you remember early in the morning of March 15th, reaching out to Shannon to tell him about news that you had learned?
And this is what I was talking about when he was questioning the what was his name? The FBI guy. The one that deals with the was it cell phone data? I've closed my notes, but I figured he was, prepping for something bigger.
About a shooting in Mechanicsville?
Yes.
Okay. And did you reach out to tell Mr. Stillwell about that shooting, or did Mr. Stillwell reach out to tell you about that shooting?
I told him.
Okay. And tell me how you found out about that shooting so quickly.
On this girl page, she was riding past.
What girl?
Say it one more time.
On this girl page, she was riding past.
Riding past what?
Okay. So
But it was on Instagram.
I understand your answer as a girl that you know was riding past Windsor Street and saw the police out there?
Yeah, it was police out there.
Okay. And then this person reached out or put on Instagram.
Yeah,
correct?
and then it was, yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Unless I have my timeline wrong. Let's see, March 14. Is this the date? I should have written better notes. If who's this? If Taisha was reaching out to Shannon via phone after his ankle bracelet had died or after it was critical, low battery, or whatever, that's actually, I don't know. That's a bit off. I don't know how you explain that. That's kind of off. I want to say suspicious, but I'm not gonna say. I just said the word.
By the early morning hours
Doesn't
of
make sense.
March 15th,
It's questionable, I'd say.
it was not a secret that a shooting had occurred on Windsor Street, was it?
No, it was all over Instagram.
Okay. And you were concerned about Shannon's safety, correct?
Yeah.
Jasmine, I'm gonna create an email address tomorrow, and then I'll share it. I'll put it in the chat. Well, let me do it now. How much time is left on this? Let's see. How much time? How much time? There's still a bit of time, I think. I'll do it now.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay. So that that cross was not as effective. That's not. Here's why it's not effective. I like Shardt. I still think best attorney in this trial, but the reason why this witness, the reason why Taisha, I think that's her name, the reason why Taisha Alexander was called to testify for the state is to put the FN firearm in Shannon's hand. He did not talk about that once. Okay, so are they hiding something? Are they? I guess they're not disputing the inference that Shannon stole this woman's firearm. He focused on a lot of. I just think his focus during cross was misdirected. That's how I will put it, because the damaging testimony that's coming from Taisha is that firearm that was recovered. Okay, that's a damaging testimony that was elicited from her, and he did not once address that.
Redirect.
You talked about your car, the cars that you get, you tint all of your cars, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are those your personal vehicles?
Yeah.
Okay. Not your rental
Very good. Very, very good.
vehicles.
No.
Very good. Very good. Fantastic. Good.
You talked about renting a vehicle probably right after March 9th at the Enterprise. Is that fair? What kind of car did you rent at the Enterprise?
Kind of scrambling. Scrambling.
I don't remember.
What was it?
It was
an
like
SUV?
yeah.
Did you ever get tints on that SUV?
No.
Oh.
And you kind of frowned up your face. Why'd you do that?
Ain't my car.
So it's safe to say you wouldn't get tints on a car that's not yours.
Not my car.
I'm sorry, but this right here.
Now, when you went with Shannon to get the Audi, did you ever go with him to get tints on the Audi?
No.
Ooh.
And you frowned up your face again. Why'd you do that?
I just didn't go with him.
And here's the thing. A lot of folks that, or at least based on the comments and the live chats that I've been reading, a lot of viewers are skewed towards the defendants getting off. As I said, I have no dog in this fight. I used to be a prosecutor. I used to be a public defender. I do civil litigation now. But one thing that folks, I mean, these people are not attorneys, but who's this? Hilton does have some pretty good moments. She's had good moments in this case. One of this being this redirect. And even love, whether you hate or love, whether you hate or love, she does have moments here and there. I mean, she's insufferable, but you know. Yeah, but this is
the
good.
Audi was rented, was that for you to drive, for Shannon to drive? What was the purpose of renting the Audi?
It was really for both of us because I was returning my car.
And when you say you returning your car, is that SUV?
Yeah, I was supposed to get the rental car.
Did Shannon ever tell you that he was gonna get tents put on the Audi?
I don't remember.
How don't you remember? How don't you remember that?
After driving the Audi out of the rental facility, where did you go?
To my car.
Which car is that?
My Charger.
Man, some of these comments.
Where was the Charger at?
At the airport.
So did you drive the Charger to the airport? And then you all picked up the Audi from the airport?
Think before you answer.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, you heard.
I was following him.
You heard.
If you were in your Charger, before you get to the airport, if you're in the Charger, what car was Mr. Jackson driving?
The rental car.
The SUV.
We was going to return it, but we didn't know if we could get a car, so we didn't want to be stranded there. We couldn't get it.
No, now she's just
So
making
you
shit
take
up.
the SUV and return the SUV to the Enterprise at the airport, and then you go to the Alamo to go rent the Audi.
At the airport.
At the airport. All right. Once you drive out of the airport rental facility in the Audi and you get back into your Charger, do you ever drive that Audi again?
Think before you respond.
Probably around Douglasville or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
Doesn't remember.
The robbery that happened on March 9th, where did that occur?
Mechanicsville.
In Mechanicsville?
And where is Mechanicsville?
Were you staying in Mechanicsville at the time?
Oh.
Apart from Lil Woody's home. Oh, so she wasn't.
Where were you
there?
when the robbery took place? Where were you?
Girl, you can hear.
In the stairway.
Of where? An apartment, a house?
Apartment.
Whose apartment?
My friend.
Do you know any individuals who are members or associates?
Somebody said she's confused now. She's under that pressure.
Of YFN, the Young Fly N-Words gang?
Yeah.
Okay. Who?
And somebody said she's definitely cooking.
I stayed over there.
You stayed over in Summerhill?
Yeah.
All right. I need to come with the messy comment. So she's the side chick? No, she's not.
When did you stay in Summerhill?
Since 2018.
Do you know a person, I might pronounce the name wrong, Teedrick Glass?
I heard of him.
Oh.
Have you ever met him? Have you ever met him?
Somebody up there said this is not direct. We know it's redirect.
That's something going on.
What?
Did that mean y'all kind of dated or something like that at one point? All right. Now, Mr. Shardt asked you about notifying Mr. Stillwell about the shooting in Mechanicsville on March 14th or the early morning hours on March 15th. Do you remember him asking you about that?
Yeah.
Okay. When you spoke with Mr. Stillwell, did he ever tell you that he was in the Mechanicsville area around 10 o'clock p.m. that night?
I don't remember that.
You're really leading, though. You're leading. They're going to come after you, girl.
Did he ever tell you that that night he was at the BP gas station at around 10 o'clock p.m., the BP gas station in Mechanicsville?
No.
She rented a car she
When
did
you
not need.
spoke, when you spoke to Mr. Stillwell that morning in the early morning hours, do you know where he was?
Studio?
Do you know where the studio is?
No.
Do you know if he was with anyone?
No.
Let me ask you, do you know if he was with Demikion Garlington at all the day on March 14th, 2022?
No.
Court's indulgence for a moment.
All those sticky notes.
Did you know Christian McMiller and Darius Ford?
No.
Or McMahon or Big?
No.
Court's indulgence.
All right, talk to your people. Touch base, touch base, touch base.
Mr. Shardt asked you about when you get tinted windows, you can't roll down the windows. Do you remember him asking you that?
Yes.
Does that prevent you from opening up the door?
No.
So you can still open up the door even though you have tints on the window.
Yeah.
I have no further questions.
Presto, presto, presto. I don't always give Simone credit, but that was good redirect. That was very good. And this witness, Taisha, again, as I said, defense did not press on the real issue here, which is that firearm.
Recross.
Just a couple questions. Miss Alexander, you indicated, I think, that Mr. Stillwell was in the studio in the early morning hours of March 15th, 2022, correct?
That's like 2, 3 in the morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And
were you with him? No.
In your experience dating Mr. Stillwell was trying to start a rap career. Isn't that fair?
He was making a song about me.
He was making songs about you?
Man, that's a woman over here. I don't even know what this is. Is it flirting? What exactly is going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
She is making it clear. She wants everybody to know that's my man.
I'm sure they were lovely. So how many days a week or nights a week would you say
every day
he was in the studio?
Every day.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Thank you for your time, Ms. Alexander. You are excused.
Oh my goodness. I don't know these guys. Everybody is rolling. That girl said that man was making a song about her.
Did y'all say you have one more witness? And if so, is it somebody really short?
Oh wow. This was fantastic. This was great. This was great. I know it started off slow going through all the witnesses, but she was great. Taisha. All right, let's see what's Lewis saying. She wants it clear to Kayla, who's in the courtroom. That's what I wanted to know. Does anybody know if Kayla Bumpus was in the courtroom today? Because that was, man. Oh, I'm a little excited because I love the miss. Yeah, so that was the end of court today. I do not know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know who's going to testify tomorrow, but trust and believe that I will be ready. So I'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then, I don't know, we might change up the format. We'll see how that goes. And then for Jasmine, I am going to create an email address and then I'll put it in my bio. That will be later tomorrow though, but I'm going to put that in my bio. It's going to be later tomorrow. So don't expect anything tonight. And in order to close this out, we are going to close this out with Miss Sylvia. Okay. You guys had me going down a rabbit hole. And now my algorithm is all the way off. Now I have Kayla Bumpus all over all over my recommended. I have Sylvia all over my recommended. So, oh shoot, I removed the video. Never mind. I was gonna play a video of who's this, Miss Sylvia, but I just realized that I closed the tab probably 2 hours ago. So that's that. All right, folks, have a fantastic night, and I hope you have a productive Wednesday. It's almost hump day. Thanks for watching.